Superman 2025 has made quite the impact because it offers something we've been craving without knowing it. A detour from the norm.
Spectacular, give me 14 of them right now.
But what has been the norm, exactly? Well... it's been a lot, and I'm not complaining. Those stories were awesome to grow up with. They were edgy, thrilling, and they challenged a lot of traditional superhero ideals. But they also warped our expectations, to the point that when someone like Superman comes along, bright, sincere, and unapologetically kind, he almost feels like a parody of what we've grown used to, which is ironic because he is the blueprint. So in this video, let's look back at how we got here, how the world shaped our need for darker heroes, and how Superman 2025 isn't just a reboot, but a quiet rebellion against the pessimism that we've come to expect and maybe even embraced. Now, to really understand why James Gunn's new Superman feels so different, we need some context. Ever heard the phrase, much of acting is reacting? Well, movies kind of work the same way. A lot of what defines a film is that it's reacting to the world around it. And in the 2000s, the world was done with the zany, campy aesthetics of comic book movies from the 90s. It wanted something more grounded, more real. So instead of building a world around a director's interpretation of a hero, these new films started placing superheroes into our world. And it worked. All these characters were adapted on the big screen, and despite them looking like they were ripped out straight from the comic books, there was a level of believability that was weaved into their stories, and it seemed like they really did exist alongside us. More importantly though, most of their movies crushed it at the box office. But one franchise stood out. And with it came the rise of a director so obsessed with practical effects that he planted 500 acres of corn just to get a 2-minute shot in a movie about outer space. I'm talking about Christopher Nolan.
But wait, weren't we talking about Superman? What's Nolan got to do with this?
Listen here, little shit. The big suits at Warner Brothers loved how he made them so much money that they asked him to help develop this little film called Man of Steel. Now, despite a lot of conflicting info about who wanted what for the film, one thing's clear. Nolan brought his grounded, practical style, Zack Snyder brought his signature visuals, and together, they shaped Henry Cavill's Superman into the one we know today. And as they doubled down on that gritty realism, up, and away went the red underpants and cheesy catchphrases, and in came a conflicted god, with daddy issues and a permanent existential crisis. This Superman wasn't just a hero, he was a threat. A being torn between two worlds, worshipped, feared, doubted, who's unsure if humanity even deserved to be saved. And while critics were mixed on it, I loved it. The shaky cameras that make you feel like you were seeing it take place in real time, the dilemma of hiding your powers from a world that's so scared that it's on the brink of a breakdown, and the fucking anime fight scenes that were cool as shit. Damn, why is this better than I remember? It took everything I thought I knew about Superman and flipped it, diving deep past the core of who he was. And I'd like to believe that this depiction, the moody, world-weary Superman, helped in paving the way for everything that came next. So with Man of Steel setting the tone and The Dark Knight still casting its long shadow, it wasn't long before the superhero genre, especially the DCU, took a darker turn. At some point, you literally had to turn your brightness up to see what was going on. And things only escalated from there. Now, try to rewind to when Endgame just wrapped. Marvel had just pulled off the biggest crossover event in film history. They dominated the box office for over a decade, but under the surface, the superhero fatigue was creeping in. Audiences were craving something different, something less polished, something messier. Enter the age of Superman satire. Brightburn, a twisted what-if story about a child Superman who wasn't here to save us, but rule us. Homelander, a corporate-branded demigod raised in a lab instead of a farmhouse who has mommy issues and loves to suck on the milk. He's insane with a god complex. And Omni-Man, a race of spacefaring conquerors disguised as protectors who treat entire civilizations like pawns in a galactic empire. Also, he basically beats the shit out of his kid and has this affair with this bug. It's a whole thing. These weren't just evil Supermen, they were a retaliation to the decade-long reign of Marvel's idealism. Superheroes who always did the right thing and pulled their punches. These new characters flipped the script and asked, what if Superman had all of the power, but none of the humanity? And people ate it up. They loved seeing God's fall. They loved the chaos, the corruption, the carnage. And honestly, it really was entertaining. And for a while, it felt like the only way to keep superheroes interesting was to make them terrifying. But then the darkness stopped feeling edgy. It started to feel normal. And suddenly, all that edgy deconstruction just felt more of the same. Marvel movies weren't hitting like they used to. The box office was struggling, and with dire news mounting on
the political and economic state of the world right now,
we didn't need another god to fear. We needed something else. Something new. Something sincere. We needed hope.
That's Clark. Clark's the man. Another reporter at the Daily Planet.
3 years ago, James Gunn was brought on as one of the heads of DC Studios while quietly working on a new Superman script. 12 days ago, as I'm editing this video, Superman 2025 finally hit theaters. 10 days ago, I saw him. Really saw him. On the big screen for the first time in years. And I didn't cry. Not in the first hour at least, but an hour after that, I walked out of the theater and I felt something I haven't felt in a very long time. Superman 2025 wasn't amazing because it was perfect. It was amazing because it wasn't. It felt raw, sincere, and deeply human in a way that no other live-action comic book movie has felt in years. It wasn't another Marvel film with heroes conveniently dropped into New York. This was a world where the fantastical was normal, where kaiju attacks are just Tuesday news and aliens coexist with people like it's always been that way because it has. And even though it didn't have the grit of early DCU films, it manages to deconstruct our hero in a way that we've never really seen on the big screen. We got to watch Superman wrestle with who he is, with the weight of legacy, with what it really means to care about people when they're messy, irrational, and afraid of you. He makes mistakes, doubts himself, and doesn't have all the answers, and yet we root for him. Not because but because we feel his love for humanity. Because when he sees the world, he doesn't see a planet full of flaws. He sees a chance to protect something imperfect because it's beautiful. And that's why some people won't get it. They'll look at the Superman and think, oh, he's soft or naive. But it's not naivety. It's hope. Hope that we can do better, that we can be better, that even in a world full of chaos, there's still room to believe in people. This Superman doesn't rule with fear. He leads with compassion. He's bright, he's dorky, he wears his trunks outside the suit so kids won't be scared of him. Because someone has to remind them that being powerful doesn't have to be something terrifying. This version of Superman, he doesn't just give people hope. He makes you want to be the reason someone else feels it too. And honestly, I truly believe that that's the real punk rock.